In 1975, 8-year-old Jean Grey is orphaned in a car crash when her telekinetic powers manifest. Professor Charles Xavier brings her to his school for gifted youngsters, promising to teach her to control her mutant abilities. In 1992, during the Space Shuttle Endeavour's first mission, the shuttle is damaged by solar flare-like energy, and the President calls upon the X-Men to save the astronauts. Rescuing the crew, Jean is struck by the energy. Her psychic powers become amplified, but harder to control as her emotional state deteriorates. Xavier reveals to the other X-Men that he suppressed Jean's memory of causing the car crash as a child to keep the psychological trauma from making her unstable. But her enhanced power is destroying the mental blocks, and she is now experiencing PTSD symptoms. Jean travels to her hometown after seeing visions of her father and finds him alive, having survived the car crash and forsaken her. She recovers her memory and realizes that her powers, uncontrollable at the time, caused the crash and killed her mother. The X-Men arrive and, after a skirmish in which Peter Maximoff is injured, Xavier mentally freezes everyone to allow Raven Darkholme to persuade Jean to come home. But Jean accidentally kills Raven during a violent telekinetic episode. Fleeing to the island of Genosha, a mutant refuge run by Eric Lensher, Jean asks him for help controlling her rage. But military helicopters arrive, demanding Jean's surrender. She attacks them, and Eric angrily banishes her. She is found by Vuk, leader of a shape-shifting alien race known as the Dabari. Vuk explains that the cosmic force Jean absorbed had wiped out the Dabari planet, consuming everything in its path until it was drawn to Jean. She offers to help Jean learn to use the force safely. Hank, blaming Xavier for Raven's death, leaves the school and allies with Eric and his faction of mutants in a plan to kill Jean in New York City. Learning of Eric's plan, Kurt Wagner teleports the X-Men to New York to save her. While the two factions battle, Eric confronts Jean and Vuk but is defeated by Jean's amplified powers. Xavier convinces Jean to read his memories, helping her former personality resurface. Remorseful, she attempts to let Vuk take the Phoenix Force from her. But Scott Summers stops her when Vuk reveals the Dabari's intent to use the Force to conquer Earth. Government troops subdue both mutant factions while Vuk escapes. The mutants are confined on a train, and Vuk and her Dabari forces attack, overpowering the soldiers while the mutants are freed. Charles and Scott convince Hank, Eric, and his allies that Jean is not beyond help, and they unite to fend off the Dabari attackers before Vuk arrives. Charles confers with Jean within his mind, and she forgives him, saving the mutants from the ensuing train wreck and disintegrating the remaining Dabari. Vuk again attempts to drain the Force from Jean, who flies them into space to unleash all of her power and kill Vuk. Jean then transforms into a phoenix-shaped being of energy. Xavier's school is renamed the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters, and Charles retires as dean, with Hank taking his place. In Paris, Charles is surprised at a cafe by Eric, who invites him to a game of chess, while a flaming phoenix appears high in the sky.